All right, hey, Teachable Tribe, Ashley over with Make Change. I'm very excited today, sitting down with Justin Brooks. And Justin, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on here. I don't know if we want to go into the long story, but I started in 2007. I started selling info products in 2007. I started with a really pathetic $60 a day ad campaign. Within a year, I had a six-figure budget, or a six-figure business, I should say. And now I've been doing it for 10 years. I could go into that more, but basically that $60, I doubled my money every month for 11 months in a row, and then had a six-figure business, and I've done great things ever since.
Yeah, Justin has. I want to dig into a little bit of how you did that and why you started doing that.
Okay.
So let's take it from the beginning. What was the impetus to start doing this at all?
I hated to sweat. I was working on a construction site, and I literally had a vision. Maybe it was almost a heat stroke. I don't know, but I had this vision that I was going to be working inside in the air conditioning. Yeah. I was going to be sitting on this gray crushed velvet chair, and the phone was involved. But I think the phone was like a metaphor for the internet. But I did work in sales, and I did some phone stuff as well. So that was like the impetus. I hated sweating, and so I saw some guys online who made money with websites.
Yeah.
And so that was my goal in the beginning. It wasn't to start a business or anything. It's like I wanted a website that would pay my bills. That was as much as I knew back then.
Yeah.
People thought I was ridiculous, but I now have websites to pay my bills. So
yeah, exactly. So how did you start building that up into something that was actually profitable?
I hate to say that I got lucky, because I don't really believe in luck. I think everybody makes their own luck, but there was a little bit of luck involved, or timing. Mm-hmm. And I got an internship with a internet millionaire out in Idaho named Russell Brunson. And my job as an intern was to study his $250,000 marketing library. So I got the education of a lifetime, but it was a job because I had to study these courses and then write product review articles about them so that he could sell them for affiliate commissions and whatever. So I got the education of a lifetime, but it was an unpaid internship, so I'm still broke. But I took that education, went back home, begged my girlfriend, who's now my wife, my girlfriend at the time, for $60. We didn't even have the $60 for the ad campaign. I had to pay half my electric bill, and then use the other half for that pathetic $2 a day AdWords campaign. Made $150 my first month, paid back the electric bill, put the $60 back in, double. So that's kind of how it went. But it was that internship I landed that really changed everything for me.
Wow, that's awesome. I feel like so many people start where they're just kind of blogging on the side and they wait until it's making money. That's an awesome story.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I definitely quit my job way too early. There was a time, so I said I was doing a little bit of sales.
Yeah.
When I was doing sales, I had learned about these other guys that were making millions online. And I went to my boss one day and I just quit. I was like, hey, I'm going to go start my own business. And he shook my hand, and I went, and like 5 months of making no money. My girlfriend at that time was pregnant, in college, and working to pay all of our bills, while I just tried to learn for like 16 hours straight. And then I got the internship, which launched everything.
That changed the game. Yeah. Okay. So breaking it down, going from that kind of $60 a day investment to a little bit more and more, you quit this job. When did you actually feel like you were making money that was sustainable? And what did you do that really changed the game besides that internship? Like what?
Right, changed it? So we're talking post-internship now, and I'm applying the things that he taught me. I started making a few $100s a day, because so I started with $60 and I made $150. I put $150 in, I made $300. That eventually gets to a point where I was basically making like $200, $250 a day, which was life-changing income for me, because most people are hoping to make $100, $200 a day at a job. Here
Right.
I was sitting at home and making $250 a day. The coolest part was we would like go out to a restaurant to eat.
Yeah.
And by the time we got home, we made enough sales that like it didn't even cost us anything.
Yeah.
It did cost us something, but the bank had refilled by the time. Yeah. So that at that point, that's when like things really started changing for us. And I remember my wife, she still had a job at the time. She was a teacher.
Yeah.
And so here I was trying to live this internet lifestyle. And I still had to wake up at 6 a.m. every morning to drive her to work. And so I'm still waking up to an alarm clock. I'm still driving to a job.
Yeah.
And so every morning I would tell her how much money I made while we were sleeping, which would just grind on her. She hated that. Because, so finally, eventually she was like, okay, well, if you can get this up to $80,000 a year, I'll quit my job and we'll work together. And so I just hustled until I got to that point. And now she works with us, and we do
that's awesome.
Very, very well now. So
yeah, and now no 6 a.m. alarm clocks.
I actually do like to wake up early, but it's by choice now. It's by choice now.
Yeah.
I prefer my like working hours are like 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then I do whatever I want the rest of the day.
That's nice. It's actually kind of how I am. It's like wake up early, get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you first started this business, did you ever imagine it would get to this point where you're making like over $80,000, working 5 to 10?
Yeah, I'm working on a YouTube video right now, so we just looked up some stats. As I told you, we just got back from a 9-month-long trip around the world with my kids. Around the world, we made it to Bali, and then we realized like the world was actually pretty big. We weren't going to go all the way around. We started in Florida, 6 months across the United States, road tripping in our truck, got to San Diego, flew to Japan to Bali, Bali to Australia. Took us nine months in all, and we looked, and we made $229,000 during that 9 months while we were traveling, while we were only working a couple hours per day. Yeah. So it's been a pretty awesome life, man.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
That's living the dream.
Yeah.
So tell me about what your business looks like now. What are you doing, and what are you working on?
Right now, I'm working on another info product.
Yeah.
And it's called Digital Media Buyers Institute. So over the 10 years, for those that don't know, media buying is buying ads online. And so because of my early success with that, and that's the thing that changed my life, like literally paid ads took me from eating ramen noodle soups to eating at Red Lobster. So that's my thing, and so over 10 years, I've become an expert at that. And so that's what we teach at Digital Media Buying Institute, is I help other people understand how to buy ads profitably and how not to be scared. Most people treat it like a lottery. They're like, okay, I've got $500 or $100 or $1,000 to spend. They put the money in the ad network, and then they're like, hope and pray. Oh, I hope more money comes out. That's like the worst. It's not a lottery. There's actually like a science and math to doing it successfully. And so that's what we teach. We have a lot of different courses about different types of advertising.
Very cool. So while you were traveling, was it just like an online course that was up and running? Were you having to answer emails? Curious to what your business looks like while you're traveling.
Yeah, so while I was traveling, I actually made the videos.
Yeah.
That Digital Media Buyer Institute in Bali. So like, if you watch the course, you can see all the flowers and greenery in the background and the pool. And so what my day would look like, I'd wake up around 5. Some days I don't wake up, I just sleep in. So I get the choice. But I like to wake up around 5. Have something caffeinated to get things kicked off. And then I start recording the video, or I start making slides so that I can record a video later. I would record a couple videos. I would add them to the members area. I would edit the members area, add some notes, add some links. That's how I would spend and then the rest of the day I'd spend swimming or, going to see the volcanoes in Bali, or we kayaked. So if there's a lake near a volcano, it's called a caldera.
Yeah.
We got to kayak in the caldera, It was so cool.
That's awesome.
You're like basically kayaking in a volcano. It was nuts.
Yeah. I want to see like some like GoPros of that, you know?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Okay, so one thing, you're out in Bali, you're traveling, at the same time you're filming videos. We help people film a bunch of videos here, and everyone gets really caught up on quality and perfection and whether or not they need to hire a film crew. Did you learn anything about that when you're filming videos out there, or did you just do it all on your own?
Yeah, I happen to have broken a lot of rules in my early childhood, so it was easy for me to not care about,
that.
Yeah, all the perfection of the videos, but everybody goes through it. I remember my first couple videos, like the first 3-minute video I shot, I think it took me like 32 takes or something just to get it out there. But what I would tell, the biggest secret I've learned is you're going to make mistakes. It doesn't matter. I've spoken on stages all over the world. I've made thousands of videos. You will always make mistakes, but the camera keeps rolling and the camera doesn't care. So like make the mistake. And so like if I just stuttered on something, I would pause, regain my composure, clap twice so that in the video software I can see where that moment was, and then just keep going. But don't like turn off the camera and then reset up and just truck through it. That's the biggest thing that I've learned.
Yep. And I think that's spot on. That's what we do here. That's what we tell people to do. And it's pretty interesting too, because having created a couple of courses, I've done it where it's very like rough and dirty. And then I've done it with like the polished videographer. And it was actually like the V1 that performed better. People really connect with someone who's real, just talking. Yes,
definitely. The biggest thing is audio quality.
Yeah.
You can get away, like your background. You're just in front of a solid color. It could be white, it could be red, it could be black. It doesn't really matter what color. Black looks a little bit better. My background is just my computer, and I made sure to shut my browser so there's something nice, and there's flowers and books. So I just made sure there's like not something messy behind me. The biggest thing is make sure your audio quality is good. Background doesn't matter so much. Audio quality will freak people out.
Yes, preach. That's 100% it. They can't hear you. It's like no one can learn. No one knows what you're saying.
Yeah, like if there's a fan in the background, then that will kill it. But that's it. You don't really need to go crazy.
No, and I mean, this is a curtain because there's another office behind us. So right there with you.
Yeah.
So I was reading your website, and you talk somewhere about having you managed to go from a 2 to 25% conversion rate on your website. You talk a little bit about how you did that, because that's really impressive.
Thank you. So one of the main ways that you can sell an info product, I subscribe to this idea. I call it the cookie theory.
Yeah.
And it's probably called something else actually, but that's my name for it. Yeah. So what it is like if you go to a bakery, they give you a free cookie. You love that cookie, so you buy a box, right? Yeah. That's how you sell info products. You have to give them a taste of the info product. The best way that you can give somebody a taste of an info product is a blog post or a YouTube video, whatever is comfortable for you. Maybe you like audio, maybe you like video, maybe you like blogging. Doesn't matter. You give them a taste of some information, then they like that information and want to go, I like this. How can I get more of this? So they read a couple more blog posts, then they're like, wow, this guy has a course. I bet you it's amazing. His blog posts are great.
Yeah.
So the main tool that I've used in my business is a blog, but what I never liked about a blog is pretty much everybody just settles for about a 2 to maybe 5% conversion rate on leads for their blog. And that means like somebody who reads a blog post, and then whether they opt in and the little pop-up that comes up or the sidebar, or it's usually 2 to 5% that I find most blogs. And I thought, man, that's ridiculous. I just can't settle with that number. That means that like 95% of my traffic is just leaving. I can't sleep at night with that number. So I set upon a series of tests to try and improve that. I said, I think that at least a quarter, at least 15%. So the ways that I did it, it's actually the 25% is actually a combination of things.
Yeah.
So the sidebar opt-in, if you just put up a sidebar opt-in in there, even if it's not that great, what you don't want to do is don't do like subscribe to my newsletter and then the button is just submit. That's like the worst possible level that you can do. But even that will work to a degree, like 1 to 2%. So if you have a decent offer in the sidebar, like get a free chapter of my book and then get instant access instead of submit on the button. A little bit of extra effort like that will take you from like 1 to 2% to like 3 or 4% people taking that. So that you have that percentage. And then what I realized is at the top of the blog. So I'm going to imagine that this screen is a blog post. So like up here in the header of the site, I put an opt-in right there. Instead of a pop-up, it's just always there at the top of the blog post. So I moved to the sidebar opt-in up to the top of the blog post, and that got me a big jump from like, that went from like 3 to 4 to 7 to 10%.
Yeah.
Just that one little move there, because now it was very visible and it's like the first thing. And actually, if you make it, you know, I'm going to use the screen. So like if you take up about half the screen, they can't miss it. You know?
Yeah.
And if you put a decent offer in there, they will opt in. So then I did a couple of other things. So then at the bottom of the post, I had another opt-in offer, but there's 2 different opt-in offers. So the top one up here, it was something very simple and easy. So for me, it was a spreadsheet of 200 places people could get traffic for their website.
Cool.
You know, something I had a VA whip up. But it's a very simple little item that anybody in my market would be like, oh yeah, that sounds like something I'd want to have. That's useful.
Totally.
And then at the bottom of the blog post, somebody just finished reading and enjoyed your content. I have a free 1-hour course. So it's a little bit more of a meaty substance. So you know, the first person's looking for a shiny little doodad to download. The second person is looking for, you know, I really want to dive into something. And being able to appeal to those 2 different people, that took me, see, I was about like 7 to 10%, to now getting into like 11, 12, 13% with the 2 different things. Then I added a time delay pop-up to it. So I would, you know, after 45 seconds, it would pop up and it would offer them the same thing that was at the top of the website. And then finally, I had an exit intent. So with all of them combined, you know, each of them was about 5 to 7% opt-in rate. And then if you combine all of them, we were getting about a 25% take rate when people come to our site.
Yep. And everything you're saying makes perfect sense. It's what we're doing on our blog right now. That's awesome. Yeah. And I like that way too of breaking it down into increasing conversions in small little places.
Yeah, that's it. It's just, you can't just take one page and go from 2 to 25%, but there's a lot of things you can do to go from 2 to 5, 5 to 7, you know.
Yeah, those little like micro optimizations.
Yeah.
So in business, where do you see people generally going wrong? Whether it's conversions, whether it's, you know, ad buying, like where are you seeing people mess up?
Biggest places I see people messing up is looking at the wrong numbers. You know, there's so many people who are engrossed in how many fans they have or how many readers they have on their blog or you know, even conversion rate. Like there's so many businesses that focus on the conversion rate of their pages, but I have seen that a lot of times the higher conversion rate goes, the lower your average customer value will go, because at a certain point, you're just getting untargeted people coming through there. So like
that churn.
Right. So, I mean, if you wanted to create the highest converting lead gen page possible, you would just say, free winning lottery numbers, enter your email here. Right? But like, what would you actually then be able to sell to that person? You know? So it's not about conversion rate. It's about what is your average customer value and how does the things that you do on your pages impact that number? And then a little bit about conversion. So Another big one is people focus a lot on their costs instead of their earnings.
Yeah.
And I argue that if you take care of your earnings, if you focus on earnings, it will take care of the costs.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you can't just let your costs run wild and rampant and you'll just be ignorant. But, spend 20% of your time optimizing your costs, 80% of your time increasing your earnings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because, we don't win at business. We don't get to drive the Ferraris and travel to Bali by reducing our costs. We get to do those things by increasing our earnings. If it was just about reducing our costs, well, then we just won't run any ads at all and we win. No, we don't. It doesn't work that way.
I really like that. And on that note, when do you suggest people start hiring a paid acquisition manager, and when should you try and do it yourself?
People are not going to like this answer because everybody wants to hire a paid acquisition manager as soon as possible because they don't want to do it. It's how do you figure out Power Editor and this and that, but you're not there. I don't want to make blanket statements. There are some good guys out there that you can find for $500 a month that are just up and comers and they don't know what to charge yet. It's very rare. A lot of times, lower costing guys are lower costing guys because they can't keep clients and they have to just keep churning and burning them. So I really, and this is being in the industry 10 years, as honest as I can be with people, if you're going to be under $3,000 a month with your ad spend, you got to learn how to do it yourself. At best, what you can find is an assistant who knows the platform, and they can just be your hands on the keyboard. And you're still in charge of the ideas and the strategy and coming up with what you're going to put in your ads, but they're actually just loading your ads into the system and they understand how to load up your custom audiences. You can find a guy like that, but you really should be spending $5,000 a month or more before you go out looking for an actual paid acquisition manager, because that's where you're going to find the good. No good paid acquisition manager wants to work with a small budget. Doesn't work that way.
I love that. I love that there's a number for it, because there's some things it's it's right, whatever's right for your business and wishy-washy. And that's all right, there.
Once because if you're spending $5-10 grand a month, if you're comfortable spending $5-10 grand a month, it means that your sales process is working. Nobody's just going to go and blow $5-10 grand a month. Something's working for you. And if something's working for you, then the paid acquisition manager can help you grow it even beyond that. But if you're scared to spend $3,000 a month, the reason you're scared is because your sales process isn't dialed in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So while I've got you, I kind of want to ask for course creators and, for anyone here at Teachable, do you have any specific advice for certain paid acquisition funnels that work really well for premium courses, or any specific industry advice there?
Yes. I just wrote an article about this and it got very heated because it's super controversial. Most people would drive their traffic to a squeeze page. And a squeeze page being a page where you get a lead, they enter their email for a free report or whatever. But the math, and for a lot of situations, a squeeze page is right, so I'll say that. But the math behind adding a squeeze page in front of your product, actually for paid traffic, I'm not talking about SEO, I'm not talking about social media or affiliates, specifically for paid traffic, it creates a math situation that's very hard to overcome. Because if you think about it, a good lead gen page is going to convert 25, 30%. That means 70% of your ad spend is gone, right? Before they ever even see the sales page, 70% of your ad spend is gone. So it's better to drive straight to a low ticket info product, something that's maybe a free plus shipping book or a $10 course or even a $49 course. Now you're not going to take, cold traffic and send them straight to a $200 or $500 course, because there does need to be some relationship building. But a $5, $10 course, free plus shipping, $1 trial. You don't need to build a big relationship with that person to convince them that they need this thing. It's more of like a bubblegum purchase. It's an impulse buy. So that's one big lesson I would tell them is drive to like $1 trial, a $10 product, some sort of front end thing, and then upsell into the bigger thing. Acquire the customer, make back some of your money really quickly, and then work on increasing earnings. So that's the thing that I would say. So offers that really work well, $1 trials, free plus shipping, books, or just, a book with, it doesn't have to be a book either. It could be a DVD, it could be a video, but free shipping. What else works well? $10. Actually, $10, like 10, works better than $9.99. It's some psychological thing. Others before me have tested it, and I've just done it and seen, it actually does work.
Oh, that's cool.
But if anybody wants to look up the science, there's science behind it. The other thing that's worked really well for me is being able to do like a pay what you want pricing. And I'm hoping Teachable gets that feature soon. But being able to pay what you want has created huge conversion rates for me, because why would they not convert if they can make up their price? But I would never put like my main product as a pay what you want, but I'd put a decent product up there. Maybe the first module of a 5-module course, and allow them to pay whatever they want. You get a lot of people that put in $1 trying to rip you off, and then you get a lot of people who are putting in fair prices, and you get some people that put in astronomical prices. So I've done pay what you want, and I've had people pay me anywhere from $1 to $200 for that pay what you want course, and I care about the average, and the average for me was about $14.
And what was that course?
That was a Facebook ads like masterclass, a short 3-hour long, how to get in there and get started with Facebook ads. And so they would do pay what you want. My conversion rates, like 13 to 17%.
Okay, awesome.
It's huge for a sale.
And then how many sales were you making? Only wondering because when you have like a low price point around $14, you're probably going to want to sell a lot.
Yeah, several thousand.
There you go. That's awesome. And because that's what you want. People have to realize when it comes to paid traffic, it's a math situation. You have X dollars that are going in, X dollars that need to come back out. Well, there's click-through rates and conversion rates that you can put in between there, and you can actually on paper figure out whether you have a chance of profiting or not. And if you can create a profitable situation, then you can just keep spending and get as many customers as you want. And now that I've said that squeeze pages are bad, let me say that squeeze pages are good for so many other situations. It also changes, like if you have, like for my consulting and services, I charge $15,000. There's no way I could drive paid traffic to something like that. So there's a lot of times when you have to use a squeeze page to start building the relationship, follow up with the person, and then make the sale. So every time I say that, it becomes like, he said squeeze pages are dead. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's just math.
It is. It comes down to that. And
cool.
So I guess before I let you go, do you have any last minute advice for someone who's starting a business on the side, dabbling in courses, just that entrepreneur out there?
Yes. Push through for a year and 1 day. I've seen it over my 10 years. I don't know what happens, but people who stick with it beyond a year almost always become very successful. And I mean like 6-7 figures. I'm not saying like billionaires, but
income, livable income.
Right. I have seen and taught thousands of people, and if you just stick with it through a year, even if you like fail for the whole year, I swear it's like something magical happens. After you stick with it for a year, you've learned enough. You've failed so many, like me. I always tell people I didn't figure out how to be successful. I just failed so many times I ran out of ways to fail. And the next possible thing was a success, you know. And so stick with it for a year. Just persevere. Cry all you want. Just stick with it for a year because it does work. And you, at that point, you will be successful. It just works.
Yep.